Hey Megan, can you hand me that tape measure?
Yeah. What are you doing?
I'm gonna see if there's enough insulation in the attic. On this episode of PowerHouse, we'll show how important it is to make sure you have your attic insulated and how it can save you money.
And I'll investigate a cold water emergency. I'll show you why it's important to investigate your options when choosing a new water heater and how it can save you money if you make the right choice.
Then we'll visit an appliance showroom to show you how some new energy-saving technology is becoming more affordable and making its way into your home.
And there are more opportunities to use LED bulbs than you might think. I'll show you how some special types of LEDs will save you energy and money. That's all next on PowerHouse.
Heating and cooling accounts for 50 to 70% of the energy cost for your home. The easiest way to help reduce that number is simply by checking out what's above your head. Meet Silas Hepner. Silas specializes in insulating homes from new construction to existing homes. Today, we're tackling the importance of insulating an attic. Hi, Silas. So why is it so important to have a properly insulated attic?
The purpose of the insulation is to resist heat flow, and so we want to keep the heat that we paid for in the house, which is going to save energy and money for the homeowner.
Now, how does a homeowner know if they have enough insulation in their attic?
When they pop up in the attic, they can take a look, and the first thing we look for is, can I see the framing, the floor joists in the attic space? And if I can, probably don't quite have enough insulation. The other thing we could do is take a tape measure up there, and if we know what kind of insulation we're looking at, we can measure it and find out.
Now, Silas, I know we talk about R value with insulation. Again, remind us R value and what it means.
Yeah, so R value stands for resistance to heat flow. And the more R value we have, the more inches of insulation, the greater the resistance to heat flow. So heat will actually move more slowly through the insulation.
Okay, and what are we striving for in terms of an R value here in the attic?
In this new house, we're looking for an R49 for both energy code and for the performance of the home.
Okay, R49, but what are we talking in terms of inches of insulation?
So an R49 is going to be about 12 to 13 inches of cellulose material, or if we're looking at a fiberglass material, it's going to be 16 to 18 inches.
Silas, what kind of product are we talking about in terms of insulation here?
Yeah, today we're going to be blowing a fiberglass insulation product. And so fiberglass is created by spinning literally glass into fibers. And those things are kind of held together by friction and binder material. And you blow that into the attic, and that's what does the insulating for us.
What other product can we be using in an attic?
Yeah, you could also use a cellulose product, and that's a product that's made out of recycled paper, a lot of times newsprint or something of that nature.
Now, is this a product in terms of blowing in insulation that I could do it myself, or is it best to leave it to the experts?
It is a DIY style product. However, there are lots of things that we need to know as installers to make sure that we're not causing more problems than we solve. Those can be materials that might already be in the attic, like vermiculite, which could contain asbestos. It's kind of a flaky gray or even a gold-colored mineral up in the attic space, and very important to know not to disturb that if you see it. Other things to be concerned about are things like recessed lights or electrical components and having good clearances around those, chimneys, and then just not covering over on-purpose attic ventilation so that we have good ventilation for the attic.
And I know the professionals always take into mind safety and staying on 2x4s in the attic.
That's right. Yeah, we don't want to crash down through the ceiling, so having a professional take a peek at it is sometimes the best choice.
Let's talk a little bit about costs. What do we talk about in terms of insulating an attic and costs?
Yeah, so for the cost of the materials is really pretty similar R value per R value, and so at that point what we really want to look at is getting a good quality installation, get some craftsmen up in the attic to do the work, because the installation can have a bigger impact than the material that we choose.
How about, is there a better time to do this during the year?
Really, you can do this just about any time of the year. There's no sensitivity to the material for things like temperature, mostly just for the comfortability of the installer or the folks in the attic.
Just recognize enclosed in the summertime may get a little hot out there, right?
That's right. I mean, we see 150-degree attics sometimes.
That's a little warm. Well,
yeah.
Silas, I'm going to let the crew get back to work. And again, a lot of great information. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Great, thank you.
The EPA estimates that by sealing and insulating your attic, a homeowner can expect to save about 11% of their total annual energy costs. That means if you usually spend about $200 a month, you'll save about $260 over the course of a year. And check this out. Here's an easy way to see if your attic has enough insulation. Measure the amount of insulation in your attic compared to your studs. 4 to 7 inches doesn't quite cut it. You'll want 13 to 18 inches of insulation depending if you live in the north or south. For more information on how to insulate your attic, go to our website at PowerHouseTV.com.
Did you know that the energy used to heat your water is the second largest energy expense you have in your home? As a matter of fact, the average homeowner spends between $400 and $600 a year just to heat their water. Well, today we're going to identify the right water heater for you so you don't have to panic when it's time to replace yours. Meet Brian Miller. Brian has been working in the plumbing business for 20 years and knows all the benefits of different types of water heaters. Hi, Brian. You know, so many people don't even think about their water heater until they're faced with an ice-cold shower because theirs doesn't work.
Yeah, that's not the time to think about it. We got 3 standard types. Usually you got the standard tank type water heater, you have the tankless type water heater, and then you have the hybrid electric water heater. So this is a standard tank type water heater. It comes in gas or electric. And the way it works, your cold water comes in and hot water goes out. It stores the water in this tank, and then here's a gas valve. It heats that water up, and then it just goes out to your house.
And it fills up to its capacity.
Yep.
And it just stays hot all
day.
the time.
Yep.
Seems like a lot of wasted energy.
Yes. You know, they say 3 to 4 degrees an hour just goes up and out the chimney.
What do you see happening when you need to replace a water heater? What are
Okay.
some signs?
All right. Well, you might see some corrosion around the top, or corrosion coming out of where the nipples go into the water heater, or corrosion around the bottom. This is what we call an anode rod, which is on the inside of these. And this is actually what helps protect the tank from rotting out. And these actually only last 3 to 4 years.
Let's talk about the energy guide down here.
Yes.
How efficient is a water heater like this?
Your average energy used for something like this is around $200, $250.
Per year?
Yeah, per year. Yep.
Okay. And what's the general investment cost?
Around $1,100 probably.
Is that the unit itself or is that installed?
That's installed.
Okay. And when might people see that corrosion start to happen?
You know, the average life expectancy on a standard tank type water heater, they say, is around 10 years.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Now let's move on to tankless.
All right. So this is a tankless water heater, and it works just by flow. So if you're not running any water in the house, you're not using any energy. It's just sitting there.
I love that. So we might liken that one to a percolator that goes all the time.
Yep.
This might be like a drip coffee.
Correct.
It just heats it as it goes.
Yep. The main thing is you can only get around 5 gallons a minute of hot water out of one of these. So if you have a bigger house or more bathrooms, just put in either another unit, or we just have one unit that we'd pipe in a storage tank and then store water, and then it's a non-issue.
Okay. It sounds terrifically efficient.
Yes, it is. It's very efficient.
How much does it cost each year to run this?
I would say you're looking at probably $100 a year.
I love that.
Yes.
What's the initial investment though? This is more expensive.
Yes, yep. You'd probably be looking anywhere from $3,800 to $4,000.
Okay. How long will it take for a homeowner to see the return on that investment?
I'd say it'd probably take 5-6 years.
So explain to us how this works.
Okay, so we have our water that comes in, just comes in through here, and as soon as it detects flow, it turns on the gas valve and it just heats the water like that.
Is there anything else we need to know about a tankless unit?
There is maintenance to them. Once a year, depending on the hardness of your water and stuff, we'd want to come out and flush it out. It means we heat the water so fast going through that heat exchanger, a lot of times it'll lime up over time if you don't flush it out.
Okay. Now let's talk about the heat pump, because that's something I'm really not familiar with.
Okay. So from here down, it's just like a standard tank type water heater but instead of gas, it's electric. So we got 2 electric elements in here that heats our hot water. And then you throw on this top portion of it, which is our heat pump. So there's a compressor in here, and then it draws air from inside your basement, brings it across the coil, and then it pumps out cold air over here. And we can even discharge that cold air outside, so in the winter we're not dumping it into your basement.
And even though this is retaining water in here and keeping it hot, the energy guide here says it costs $110 a year to operate.
Yep.
So this is pretty efficient.
Yeah, it's about 300% efficient
Wow.
because of the heat pump on the top.
What's the initial investment for this?
You're right around that $3,800 to $4,000 mark.
Okay, and who would this be a candidate for?
If you're have an all-electric home, or if you have geothermal, it pairs great with that. And our average life expectancy on something like this is probably around 12 years.
Wow, these are some great options. I think that for today, as far as facing that inevitable crisis point that we all
Yes.
go through, I think
Yep.
we've done a nice job today. Thank you
good.
very much. This
Well,
is
thank
great
you.
information.
Thanks for having me.
So here's how it breaks down. Storage tank water heaters are cheaper, but they might only last up to 10 years and waste energy while keeping the water in the tank heated. Tankless water heaters cost more, but they are more efficient and provide a constant supply of hot water while taking up less space and saving you around $100 a year. They also last up to 15 years. And a heat pump water heater, which lasts around 12 years, is 2 to 3 times more efficient, saving you around $100 a year in energy costs. But it's also more expensive and exhausts cool air. To learn more about water heaters and which one is right for your space, go to our website, PowerHouseTV.com. There you'll find more information and you can help decide which water heater is right for you.
When you go shopping for appliances, you have a lot to choose from. How do you know which ones can help save you energy and in turn keep more money in your pocket? We're checking out a few that may change the way you look at your kitchen and your laundry room. Meet Tony Bushart. He's seen a lot of appliances come and go with over 10 years experience in the industry. He's an expert on what is trending with today's appliances. Hi Tony, we're going to check out a few different appliances. What are we looking at today?
Yeah, hi Pete. Today we're going to look at heat pump dryers, induction cooktops, and refrigerators with variable speed compressors.
And these are all newer technologies, Tony?
They are pretty new technologies in the dryer and the refrigerator. The induction cooktop has actually been around for quite some time, but the cost is really coming down on it.
Okay, we're here at the dryer. Let's talk about this dryer, and it looks like a normal dryer.
Yeah, it does very much look like a normal dryer, but this dryer is a ventless dryer. It doesn't have a vent on it, and it is a heat pump dryer.
Okay, explain for our viewers, heat pump dryer, what does that mean?
Basically, a heat pump, it will bring a little bit of air into the dryer, but it's not venting that air out. You're saving that energy by not having to reheat that air. It's using that same air and then sending it through the condenser, which is going to actually cool the air like a refrigerator almost, or a dehumidifier, pull that water out of the air, but then send it back through the heater and reuse that heated air again in the dryer. The heat pump dryers are much more efficient than a normal dryer, and they don't require a vent.
Now, a normal dryer load might take 45 minutes. This it's a longer to dry it.
It does take a little bit longer to dry. It can take up to twice as long, about an hour and a half sometimes.
This really does save a lot of energy?
It does. It saves a lot of energy, about 50% of what a normal dryer would take.
Okay, and that's substantial.
Yeah.
Cost-wise, what are we looking at?
This dryer would probably typically run about $1,500 versus a comparable normal vented dryer about $800 to $900.
Okay, so about twice as much then?
Yeah, it can be, but with that energy savings and the flexibility of installation, it can make a big difference.
Okay, should we take a look at the refrigerator?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. So Tony, like the dryer, I don't see a big difference with this refrigerator.
Yeah, well, the magic is really on the inside with the compressor and how it cools the refrigerator.
Okay, so tell us how that works.
Yeah, so it's a variable speed compressor, meaning it slows down and speeds up versus starting and stopping. That starting and stopping is what takes a lot of energy. It's almost like driving a car around town versus driving it down the highway.
Is this refrigerator going to be quieter then?
Yes, this refrigerator will be more quiet than a normal refrigerator because you're not doing that starting and stopping all the time.
Okay, let's talk about the precision in terms of the temperature inside the refrigerator.
The variable speed compressor, as it slows down and speeds up, can maintain a lot more accurate temperature management. So if you set it at 38 degrees, it's going to be within half a degree of that all the time, versus a normal refrigerator could have 8-degree temperature swings. So that will help your food stay much fresher longer, and it also saves energy by not having to start and stop.
Let's talk talk a little bit about cost. What are we looking at?
They can range anywhere from $3,000 up to $12,000.
Okay, a little more expensive, but how about the life longer than a normal refrigerator?
Yeah, as you get up in that price range, the length of life on these refrigerators can be a lot longer, almost twice as long, in the 15 to 20 year range.
Very nice. Should we take a look at the next one?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right, Tony, this type of stove, it's been around for a while, right?
It has. This is an induction top. You know, if I turn it on here, I can put my hand on it. It doesn't even heat up. It's using electromagnetic technology to heat the pan itself.
Now, do I have to have special pots and pans?
You do have to have pans that hold a magnet. So you can take any magnet from your household, stick it to the bottom of the pan, and if it holds, it'll work with induction.
Okay, so that helps us understand the induction process. Now, one of the things, this is energy efficient and it is quicker.
I've got a pan of water here. I can show you how fast we can boil some water.
Okay, as we go through this, we'll keep an eye on that.
It's using the electromagnets to put the heat into the pan itself, causing it to heat up a lot faster and cool down a lot faster.
And we like that energy savings, right?
Yes, very efficient because you're not losing heat out around the pan like you would on a gas burner or even an electric burner. It's actually turning that pot right into the heating element itself.
Okay, as I said, these have been around for a while. What's bringing these back to become popular again?
The cost has really become a major factor. They've come down quite a bit. They're much more affordable. You can buy an induction range under $1,000 now, which is very comparable to a normal nice electric range. And the cooktops run anywhere between $1,300 and $2,500, which is also comparable to the nicer electric tops that are out there.
So very, very comparable. And again, as we can hear it now, this water is boiling very, very quickly.
It is boiling very quickly. We can turn it down here, turn it off, and the heat goes away right away. Another nice advantage to induction is that it's much more instant heat source.
Well, Tony, thank you. This has been fascinating, from the dryer to the refrigerator here to the induction range. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Glad I could help.
And if you'd like more information about anything that you saw on today's show, visit our website at PowerHouseTV.com.
LED bulbs are the easiest way to save energy. You just screw them in and forget about them. As a matter of fact, if you replace 5 of your most often used bulbs with LED versions, you could save up to $75 a year. A lot of homeowners are still using traditional bulbs when it comes to specialty bulbs, like this. Well, these specialty lights are available in LED versions and much, much easier to find. And I've got something pretty cool to show you how significant the savings can be if you track down LED versions of these lights. This is an electric meter, similar to what you'd see on the side of your house. We're going to use it to show you how much energy is used by the lights in your house. The more energy or watts used, the faster this little dial will spin. More watts means more energy you're using to power your bulb. For example, check out this large 100-watt globe right here. Let's see how much power it uses. Check out how fast the dial is moving. That's what 100 watts of power looks like. Now, if it was lit for 5 hours a day, it would cost about $22 in a year to operate. Now, we'll switch over to the LED version of this bulb. You'll notice that it's a little bit smaller, but the yearly cost on this bulb is about $1.10 to operate. And you'll see how the dial slows down to almost nothing. That's what 5 watts of power looks like. Now let's take a look at some other popular types of bulbs, like the candelabra. These are used in a lot of kitchen or hanging chandelier type fixtures. This standard version is using 40 watts of power. And a lot of these fixtures would use 6 or more of these bulbs, so we can estimate a yearly cost of about $52 a year to operate. Now, let's take a look at the LED version. This one uses only 4 watts of power. Eventually, you'll see that the dial doesn't even move. Using 6 of these bulbs in a fixture would cost you about $5.25 to operate in a year. Now let's look at one of the most common type of specialty bulbs, the floodlight. Many people use these as security lights outdoors, so they might stay on for longer periods of time. This is a standard 65-watt floodlight, and this is the 65-watt equivalent LED. So let's see the difference in energy use. It will use about $14 worth of energy if it's used 5 hours each day for a year. Now, meanwhile, the LED version, again, slows the dial to virtually a crawl, and it uses only 9 watts of power, resulting in a yearly cost of about $2. Let's see how much money you can save by switching out the bulbs we showed you. The yearly cost of all the standard lights would amount to about $88.69. The total cost for the LED bulbs would be $8.32. That's a savings of $80.37 per year. Imagine how switching out even more bulbs could save you even more. And more specialty LED bulbs are being made for a variety of purposes, like this LED tube lamp, which replaces common fluorescent lamps. This only uses about half of the power of a fluorescent lamp. Or this LED grow light, 9 watts of power as opposed to 120 watts for a regular bulb. And for people who don't think there are bright enough LEDs out there, check out this one. It's a 300-watt replacement LED bulb for floodlights, barns, and other areas that require a lot of light. And it only uses 38 watts of power. So remember, if you want to save a lot of money and energy, switch to LED bulbs. Screw them in and forget about them.
We hope you learned some new things today.
From how LED bulbs are the quickest way to save energy and money, to how much insulation you have in your attic.
It's worth checking. If you don't have enough insulation above your head, you run the risk of losing heat in the winter and cool air in the summer. You should ideally have up to 18 inches of insulation in your attic.
And if your water heater stops working, don't just buy the cheapest replacement. Take a little time to find out which type of water heater might work for you. After all, heating water is the second largest energy expense in your home.
And new types of technology are becoming more common in household appliances, like a heat pump dryer, which uses half the energy of a regular dryer. A variable compressor in a refrigerator can save energy up to 25%. And induction cooktops are easier to purchase, and while they save energy, they can also be much safer to use.
And replacing your regular lights with LEDs will save you a lot of money throughout the year. Just screw them in and forget about them. They pay for themselves in a matter of months.
And those are just a few ways you can make your house a powerhouse.